Ada sat under the mango tree, watching the sun melt into orange light. She hugged her knees and waited for Obi. He always came at this hour. Her heart beat fast each time she saw him coming down the red road, smiling like he carried the whole sky in his chest. Obi walked toward her with a small basket of roasted corn. He always brought food, even when he had little. Ada smiled and took one. Their hands touched. She felt warm inside, as if the world was perfect and nothing bad could ever come between them. They sat together and talked about simple things: farm work, market noise, children playing with clay. But every time their eyes met, there was something deeper. A promise. Obi wanted to marry Ada, but they were young, and the elders said love should wait like a seed waiting for rain. One evening, Obi held Ada's hand longer than usual. His hand shook. He said he wanted to speak to her father soon. Ada felt joy rise inside her like a river after rain. She dreamed of a small hut, laughter, and children running around. She didn't know fate was listening. The next week, Obi went to Ada's father, holding palm wine and cola nuts. He spoke with courage, even as his voice trembled. Ada watched from the doorway, praying her father would agree. Her heart raced with hope, fear, and love. The whole world seemed to pause. Ada's father smiled and nodded. "You have a good heart, Obi. If Ada agrees, I agree." Ada's eyes filled with tears. She ran into the room and hugged her father. Obi looked at her with happiness that made the wind feel softer. Nothing felt wrong. Not yet. The day of the village blessing came. Elders gathered. Obi touched Ada's fingers as they stood together. Everyone smiled. Even the birds seemed to sing louder. No one knew that a shadow had already begun to follow them, quiet like a snake waiting under dry leaves. Ada and Obi married under the big Irako tree. Villagers cheered. Women danced and sang. Ada laughed as Obi lifted her hand toward the sky. They promised to stay together forever. The wind carried their joy, but the Irako tree did not move. It stood silent, watching. Their first year together was full of love. Ada woke early to cook for Obi. He returned from the farm, always smiling, even when tired. They had enough food, enough laughter, and enough hope. Each night, Ada prayed for a child. She wanted tiny footsteps in their hut. One morning, Ada felt pain and joy at the same time. Her body changed. She knew something inside her was growing. When she told Obi, he lifted her and spun her around, shouting with happiness. They didn't know the village had a law written in fear long ago. The elders heard the news. They smiled politely, but their eyes dimmed. Amuro village feared twins. Long ago, they believed twins brought death, sickness, and angry spirits. It was a rule no one questioned. Ada did not know yet. Obi did not know either. Silence guarded the truth. As Ada's belly grew bigger, women came to touch it and bless her. They sang while grinding pepper, say her child would bring light. But one old woman looked worried. She touched Ada's stomach and her hand shook. She said nothing, but her eyes filled with warning. Ada woke one morning with heavy breath. Her stomach felt strange, like something was turning inside. She called Obi. He held her hand and helped her breathe. The local midwife came quickly. Sweat covered Ada's face. She cried out in pain, not knowing two lives were fighting to arrive. Hours passed, and the first baby arrived, a girl. Small, soft, crying like a new bird. Ada was weak, but smiling. Obi held the child close. Before he could speak, Ada screamed again. The midwife's face turned pale. Another head was coming. The air in the hut froze. A second baby arrived, a boy. 2 children, a twin birth. The midwife's hand shook. She whispered a prayer under her breath. Ada reached for both babies, her heart full of love. Obi cried tears of joy, but the midwife did not smile. She knew the elders would come. The midwife wrapped the babies, her voice soft but urgent. Do not let the village hear yet. Obi looked confused. Ada panicked. The midwife said, twins are forbidden here. They believe it brings a curse. The elders will decide what happens. You must choose where these children go. Ada felt cold fear. She held the babies close, crying loudly. Obi stood still, his joy turning into dread. He could not breathe right. Twins? Forbidden? His world collapsed in seconds. He looked at Ada. She looked at him. Their love was now standing in a storm. Before sunset, the drum of the elders sounded. Villagers began to whisper. Some pointed at Ada's hut. Obi locked the door, holding his spear close. Ada begged, we must run. But Obi shook his head. This is our home. Our children were born here. We cannot run forever. Night fell. Torches moved outside. Voices gathered. The chief elder shouted, bring out the twins. The gods must decide their fate. Ada's tears fell like rain. Obi tightened his grip on the door. Their babies slept peacefully, not knowing they were already judged before they could speak. Ada held both children, rocking them, whispering love and prayers. Obi stood at the door shaking. The elders warned again, open, or we break the door. Obi looked at Ada. Her eyes said everything. She would die before giving up her children. The drum beat louder, like a heartbeat. Obi opened the door slowly. The crowd stepped back. The elder looked inside, saw the two babies, and closed his eyes. You know the law. Twins cannot live in a muro. If they stay, death will follow. Ada screamed, they are innocent. But her voice was swallowed by silence. Obi grabbed Ada's hand. We have to leave now. The villagers watched, but did not help. Some cried. Some turned away. The elders said, if you leave with them, do not return. Ada looked back at the village she loved, then at her babies. She took one deep breath. They walked into the night. No food, no path, only fear and love. The babies cried softly. Ada's arms grew tired. Obi held a torch, but the wind kept pulling it. Every step felt like walking into a story with no ending, no map, and no promise of safety. They reached the forest. Owls watched them from trees. Ada's feet bled. Obi's voice weakened. But they did not stop. The babies slept again. Ada stared at their faces, wondering why love could hurt so much. She kissed their heads. You will live, she whispered, shaking. Morning came. Ada fainted from hunger. Obi shook her awake, crying. He had never felt so powerless. The babies began to cough. He lifted them, begging the sky for help. No answer came. The world was quiet. Too quiet. Something unseen was watching them from the forest shadows. Obi walked faster, holding everyone at once. His wife, his children, his fear, his tears. Ada kept whispering, don't let them die, Obi, he promised. But the promise felt heavy, like a stone he could not carry much longer. He did not know where the road would lead. By noon, they saw smoke rising from a far village. Ada smiled weakly. Maybe they will help us. Obi's hope returned for a moment. He carried the babies closer. But as they arrived, villagers came out with sticks. Someone shouted, twins! Turn back. Go away before trouble comes. Ada collapsed. Obi begged, please, just water. Please. But fear closed every door. The chief woman said, we cannot help. The spirits will punish us. She threw dried leaves on the ground, a sign of rejection. Ada cried in silence. Obi lifted her again, refusing to leave her behind. They kept walking until Ada could not speak. Her lips turned dry. The babies cried again. Obi felt the ground spin under his feet. He felt his knees, holding all three of them. He looked up at the sky and shouted a broken prayer to any god listening. The wind blew softly, as if answering. A shadow moved through the trees, slow but real. Someone was watching them. Not a spirit, not an animal. A stranger in white cloth, face covered, walking silently toward them. Obi pulled Ada close. His heart pounded. The stranger stopped a few steps away, and spoke in a calm voice. "Give me the children, and I will save them." Obi froze. Ada opened her eyes weakly and whispered, "No. Obi, don't." The wind stopped moving. Even the birds stopped singing. Everything waited for Obi's answer.